guys about the cons of homeschooling. Um, in different education websites, you kind of learn how homeschooling was more towards religious groups or tree huggers, hippies, whatever you want to call them. And more recently, within the last like 5 years, according to the homeschool.net, homeschooling has actually increased, and there's a lot more people getting involved. Um, a lot of parents discuss. They say they believe that there's a lot of violence in schools today. There's not good teachers. They're angry at the public school system, so they kind of pull their child out of the schools and teach them at home. I'm here to discuss why pulling your child out of a public school system or homeschooling them in general is not really necessarily the right thing to do for your child. Well, first, when you discuss homeschooling, it has a lot to do with school subjects. When you're in a public school, teachers have to be certified to teach, but yet at home, you can have your parents teach you. That really doesn't help you at all because, I mean, they're just reading something off of line, they're ordering books. You know, what if there's something in a book that you don't understand? Because there are many times when I go back in my own math book and I look at an example and I have no idea what they're talking about. And if your parents not good at math, how are you going to succeed? I have there was on homeschool.org, there was a story about how a teacher was discussing with the mother about how she was homeschooling her child, and the mother or the teacher had asked the student, you know, what math are you working on? The student got embarrassed, and the mother said, oh, right now our worries aren't math. Well, quite frankly, she had later learned that the mother wasn't very good at math, so she didn't really teach her child or help her child with math because she didn't understand it. Which is, it's not good because when your child goes on to high school or college and where these credits need to count, they're not going to get it and they're not going to succeed solely because their parents don't know how to do it. And that's just a really bad thing for your child. I've also, with other subjects too, like granted history, you can learn on the internet, you know, whatever, but your child needs to be in that classroom staring at the board, listening to a lecture, or, you know, just having that socialism with other students, and that you can understand it better. I also had issues with poor curriculum because when I was researching this, a lot of homeschools were a lot of religious, a lot of like Bible based, and it's not like that today. So when you go off to college, unless you go to like Catholic college or Christian, whatever your religion is, it might be a little bit more Bible based, but even so, not as much anymore. So because of just the way the world is today and just the way that the workplace is today. Another huge thing with homeschooling is the cost. It actually can be very cheap. You can go on the internet, you can use PBS, you can use your library sources. There's a lot of different things you can use. However, how are you getting the work to accumulate your grades? Like there's no, if you're just using PBS or, you know, stuff at the library, like there's nothing on a transcript to say, you understand this, you understand math, or whatever it is. If you have internet and you want to use the internet, that can cost you as much as $20 a month, and you can do like an online thing. And that can be good, but you don't know what's offered. And for that cheap, you know, doesn't really make sense to me. But I did read a lot of things where a lot of parents paid up to over $4,000 a year to homeschool their child for the cost of books, the cost of the homeschool packages, and it doesn't make sense to me because you already pay a lot of money in taxes. So why should you pay more on top of that to homeschool your child when you can just go to public school, and not necessarily for free, but you're not paying any more than you are in taxes. So I also learned the higher the age, it was homeschool at curriculum.org. It was the higher the age, the more the cost because of the books. Like high school books are very expensive to buy. And also they say homeschool children that are in high school should go and enroll in community college courses and take college courses. But I don't understand how you're supposed to take college courses when there's no credit from your high school. And the final bad thing about homeschooling, and I think it is actually one of the biggest, more probably than cost, is family consequences. You're only bringing in possibly one income, because figure if you have a mother or a father at home teaching the children, there's, you know, somebody has to work, and unless you maybe work at home while the child is doing schoolwork, whatever, you know, there's only one basic income coming in, and, you know, with today's economy, unless your husband or wife does fantastic, it's not that realistic anymore. You're always with your children. I understand we love our children, we talk about how much we love our children and whatnot. You don't want to spend all day with them. I mean, I know when I have kids, I don't want to spend all day with my kids. And, you lose your friend base. Like, if you're in a public school, you have that system of friends. And you grow up with them, and you graduate, whatever, and, you know, if you move away or whatever. But, you also lose the sports that you could be doing at school. So now that's extra cost for your parents because they have to sign you up for sports through your township, which they may do on top of that, but that's their only outside extracurricular activity they're getting, and it's just not enough for kids today. Basically, the conclusion of this is, you know, it includes your school subjects, your math, your science, your history. If your parents don't know what they're talking about, that's going to be hard for you, and it's not going to have a good success rate for yourself. The cost of it can be very high, can be low, but you figure in how much you're losing because of one income, and then you figure in how much you have to pay for whatever age your child is, it can actually be very costly. And it has a lot of family consequences. You know, you're always with your children. There's no break. There's no time away from home because it's all about homeschooling your children. And it's just, in the end, it doesn't seem a smart move to, you know, when you have such a good public school system, to pull them out and enroll them at home. And, you know, socially, it's just not going to work out for your child because they need that aspect of sitting in a classroom surrounded by other students and with a teacher. So that is my presentation. Any questions?
So you brought up the one question I was going to ask, which was sociologically or socialization-wise. How do you make up for the lack of other kids in the classroom? What do you do to encourage their social skills that they're not getting by not being in a classroom with other children?
You like I said, you do sports outside of home, but that's just, you know, if there is the extra money to sign them up. Because, you know, granted now the public schools are making you pay for uniforms, making you pay for certain things. However, that hasn't taken into full effect yet with all schools across the country. So, I mean, maybe for the state of New Jersey, a lot of public schools are doing that now, but that's not in full effect yet. They're not ready to hamper the budget that much. But I think other than sports, I mean, you have your neighborhood friends, but I don't know what else you could use for socialization for a homeschool child. Any more questions?
You know many homeschool children?
No. But I actually, one girl, she was homeschooled, went to public school, homeschooled again, went to high school, and she said she hated it. But I just talked to her and I wasn't really friends with her.
Thank you.
Thank you.